Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thrilled to be able to walk through both Microsoft Teams with Rafael Barini from Microsoft and their MTC. I'm Garrett Gladden. I am the Director of Product for Kollective, but usually find myself doing really nerdy things like getting heavily involved in our analytics stack and trying to talk about and evangelize the fact that there is just amazing data out there that's being produced by systems like Collectives and Microsoft Teams that really reveal a lot of intelligence around how we're doing with our communication tools and how we might be able to do better. So with that being said, let's jump in. All right, so one of my favorite movies is Office Space. And in Office Space, there's a scene where the two Bobs, these consultants, come in to the tech company, and they are evaluating, how are things going and who's performing and who's doing what. And one of my favorite questions that they ask is, they say, Peter, what would you say you do around here? And so I just want to get that out of the way really quick. So at its heart, Kollective is an ECDN, which basically means that we deliver content across large globally dispersed networks. And instead of when one of your users wants to receive content, they don't actually have to go through your network and to your server to pull that down, causing a lot of bandwidth constraints and impingement on your network. Instead, we disperse that content at the edge using a peering mesh, which is a really fancy way of saying that we share that content for you at the edge to relieve pressure on your bandwidth. Now, what's the type of stuff that goes out across your network? Well, more and more, especially in this day and age of COVID-19 and having to communicate using online tools a whole lot more, the best in class has to be Microsoft Teams. So that's the live events and video broadcast that Microsoft Teams brings to the table is a way for us to easily hear messages and communications from our organizations and stay connected and get those messages. So Raf is going to walk us through the Microsoft Teams live events and how that can actually really unite us all together. And then after that, I'm going to talk about the analytics that we receive on top of that. So that's what we're going to do here today. So first things first, let's talk about the content that's going to go over the network. And that is Microsoft Teams live events. So without further ado, I'm going to transition this to Rafael and have him walk us through how to go from 0 to hero. If we've never done a live event, or if we've maybe thought about doing it, or we're just unsure of how complex it can be, he's going to show us just how great it can be for us. Raf, take it away.
Thanks so much, Garrett. So welcome, everybody. My name is Rafael Barini. I'm Microsoft Modern Workplace Technical Architect for the Microsoft Technology Center in Irvine, California. And today I'm showing you how easy it is for anybody in your organization to schedule what we call a live event, right? Using the Microsoft Teams platform. A live event is a one-to-many session that can support from 1 to 100,000 users, no matter where they are located and which platform they are using, right? Could be a PC, Mac, browser, mobile device, iOS, Android, etc. So I'll walk you through that experience right now, how easy it is for anybody in your organization to do this kind of session like the one that we are doing right now. So with that, I will share my content. Let me know when you can see.
That looks good.
Awesome. So with here, I have a few users that I have on my lab environment for demonstration purpose today. One of these users is Megan. So Megan, she's a marketing manager and she's logged in on her Microsoft Teams client. Let me minimize those other screens for us to focus on Megan. When I'm here on Megan's PC, you're going to see on the Microsoft Teams left rail that she has access to her calendar inside of Microsoft Teams client. So when I click on the calendar button, this will show exactly the same information or appointments that she has on her Outlook or her mailbox. But here on the upper right corner on her Teams client, you're going to see a button that says New Meeting. And with this new meeting, there's a drop-down menu. So when I click on this drop-down menu, it's going to open up a new options for me. One of those options is the live event option. So I'm going to select that. And when I click on the live event option, it's going to prompt me for some information about how the information of this live event will occur. So the title, location, start time, the details, who will be the producer, and who will be the presenters of the live event. So let's do this. So Kollective marketing demo. And I'm going to say this is going to start today at 9:30 a.m. to probably 12:30 p.m. And I'm going to invite here a few other users. So I'm going to invite Patty Fernandez, one of my other users, as a presenter. And I'm going to also invite Diego, the HR manager, to be a presenter. You can see here that I can easily configure on this screen who are the producers and who are the presenters. There's a different concept here about when I'm joining a meeting versus a live event. A meeting, anybody can be an organizer or a presenter or attendee. On the live event, we have the concept of producer, who is the one that is going to pick and choose which content, video, and audio are going to be presented, and who will be presenting that content, which are the presenters. So with this drop-down menu, I can easily switch roles or assign multiple presenters or producers to my live event. So you can see here that it's super easy to do. With that, I click next, and then I have a few options here, which is how I'm going to present this live event. It's going to be for only users inside of my organization, and then I need to specify the users or groups. To my entire organization, that means everybody inside of my Microsoft 365 tenant. Or if I want to do a public live event, that means anybody in the world, no matter if they are using Microsoft 365 or not, any user can join that live event. So think about this trying times that we are facing right now with COVID-19. There's a perfect scenario that I could do like a broadcast or a live event for anybody on my counties or cities, or to my organization, or town halls, or airport, etc. So it doesn't matter which event you choose, you have the control about the audience and how you're going to be presented at. On the bottom here, in this case, I will select public for our demo purposes. And on the bottom of the screen, I have a few other choices. So for instance, if I'm going to record this live event for the attendees to watch later, that means like a video on demand. Like for instance, if I join this live event later than the time it started, which was 9:30 a.m., I could actually play back from the beginning. I can pause, go to the restroom, come back, and resume my live event. So that is a super cool way for you to control and allow the users to be more engaged during the live event. I also have the option to choose captions. And here I have option to choose my spoken language and up to 6 live transcribed languages or closed captioning. So we have over 60 languages available, including, if you are a Star Trek fan, we also have Klingon here, right? So it's your choice to choose, right? And make it available for you, right? There you go. I was not lying. So you can choose here. Let's say I want a Japanese. I also want maybe Persian, maybe let's say Spanish, and I also want Serbian, etc. So I have it here enough. And then on the end, it is going to ask me, do you want to create an engagement report, which is like an Excel spreadsheet with all the information about who attended, for how long, how many times they hit play or pause or resume, etc. during a live event. So it's a pretty cool report. And if you want to allow like a Q&A with a moderator, right? So if you want to have a Q&A session during the live event, when you created the live event, you need to turn on that feature. And then on the bottom of the screen here, I have also an option for like putting a URL where my attendees of that live event will consume. Let's say if they have a question or an FAQ about my organization or contact us I can redirect them to a specific URL. In this case, we present them with supportoffice.com, which is the default, but you can control and present them any URL as long as that URL contains an HTTPS redirection and certificate. And then with that, I will schedule my live event. And I know that I was talking through while I was explaining, but if I was not talking and explaining the whole thing, it probably will create a live event in less than 2 minutes. And then on the newest screen that will show up here, you're gonna see this is the regular Microsoft Teams join experience. But one thing that is important to highlight is the attendee link. This is the link that you're gonna copy and share into your website, into your Outlook meeting, to any other platform that you choose for the attendees to join that live event. Not the join button here, the get attendee link is the one, right? And there's another things here on the bottom of the screen, which is how the presenters and producers will join that live event. So let me copy this URL first. And let me go to my local computer here and paste that long URL. You're gonna see here that automatically will prompt me if I wanna launch Microsoft Teams. And now I say I wanna watch through the web. And since I didn't start the broadcast or the live event yet, you're gonna see that the user will be on this hoster, right? He's gonna be waiting until the live event starts. So let's start the live event. And before I do that, one, I'll say tip or best practices, do you see that URL that I shared for the attendees? There is a pretty long one, right? Wouldn't it be nice for you to share just a short URL for your end users? So we always recommend maybe use like bit.ly or tiny URL, so you can shorten that URL, right? So you can put it here, that URL, and shorten that. And that also will create like a safety net for you, because a live event, once it starts, if anything happened during the live event and you want to create a new one or expand that the time, etc., you don't want to resend the invitation or resend the link for your attendees. So the best option is always create a shortened URL or a redirection to that long URL, because if you need to resume or restart or do anything with your live event, you don't need to resend that URL for your attendees. Okay, so that's tips and tricks about live events. With that, let me start the live event here on my demo environment. So I'm going to join this with Megan, and she's the producer of that live event. So you can see here that I have the same options to join camera, mic, customize my devices. If I am on a location where I have a Teams room platform, I can also join from that Teams rooms. And then should start here. And as soon as I join that, of course, I'm on a remote desktop right now on this demo, and I'm not joining my camera or mic on that device. But you're seeing here, this is the producer experience. So you see that I have a few options. I have the queue. These are the content that I want to present later. I have the live event on the upper right corner here, which is the content that will be live for my attendees. And on the bottom of the gallery, as soon as Patty and Diego, the presenters that I choose, start joining, you're going to see here that I can pick and choose which content I want to share. On the top, you're going to see also the timing that this event will be recorded. It's a pre-live show. I didn't start the live event yet. And I can see here how many attendees I already have joined on that live event. So let me join from Patty. So let me click on her calendar here. You're going to see as soon as I click on the calendar, it's going to bring it up here, the live event. And you can see that there is a little icon that is different, which is from the regular Teams meetings, which is this kind of like antenna radar. This shows that it's a live event. So I'm going to click here on Patty. I'll join her to the live event. And you see that she also going to be receiving like that. This is a pre-live And then I also have access to the Q&A. And I only use the chat here on Teams between the presenters and producers of that live event. So I'm going to prepare here to share a content, which is like a slide deck on the live event. And you're going to see here that now I have on my producer host, I have all this content. I have the Patty Fernandez. I could have her camera on, her mic, and also the content. In this case, it's that slide deck that I'm presenting. So I'm going to choose here this content. I'm going to see the content is going to go to the queue. I can choose here how I'm going to choose, if it's a full screen mode or content plus camera. So if Patty has her camera on, I could have the content on the left and her video on the right, right? So I'm going to choose full content and I'm going to send live. And you're going to see here that now this content is being shown to the live event on the, from the queue to the live event, and I'll hit start. So when I hit start, it's going to prompt me to, I want to make sure that live event is going to start. Yes. I click continue. And now all my content is being sent out from this producer to anybody that is being watching that live event. And now you're going to see the greatest information analytics and how Kollective can overhaul this whole experience and optimize your live event experience for your end users. And with that, I'll turn on back to Garrett. Garrett is with you and you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Roth. That was fantastic. So I think that was so straightforward that even I could go in and set that up and run one today for all of the Kollective crew. So what I want to do is talk about, we saw how easy it is and simple to run a fantastic live event with, a best in breed tool that lets us communicate with our organizations really at the drop of a hat. And again, in this time right now, where sometimes our companies and our organizations need to be able to pivot quickly and get messages out at the drop of a hat, having a tool like that is so fundamental to our ability to do that. So let's talk about now the data that we get back from that let us know, whether or not something was successful, what we need to do to fine tune that, or how we can actually look at what the KPIs are. So I always have this slide when I'm talking about data stuff, is that data by itself, every system that we have is just producing a ton of data, whether it's from our phones to our email to anything else. There's just a ton of data around that's being produced by all these systems. So what we want to do is we want to actually give that data meaning. And we do that for Microsoft Teams Live events with two critical things, recency and relevance. And when you have those two things, you hit that sweet spot right in the middle, which is you get meaning out of the data. So we want to be able to provide data when you need it. So when you have a live event going on, instead of, maybe hours later having a CSV that you have to pour through to be like, I don't even know, what happened, what the experience was of my end users. Did everybody get it? Did we have the reach that we wanted to with this event? And then finally, you need the data where you need it. So you need the data in a really easy to use dashboard system platform that lets you have insights surfaced to you without having to dig for those, without having to go through a bunch of downloads and put it into another system to try and eke out some of the intelligence that you need to know whether or not something went well, what the experience was for your end users. So that's what we're searching for here, is recency and relevance. And I'll show you how we provide that for Microsoft Teams Live events. Okay, so I'm going to walk through kind of just some really high level things that at the drop of a hat you can have for a Teams Live event. One of the things that I want to say is we're going to step in today, and I'm going to actually not just talk about it, but I'm going to be about it here in a moment with the dashboards. But what we want to do is we want to be able to know that the event went off without a hitch, that it was high quality video. We want to know that it went out to everyone we needed it to. We want to know how long they watched it for. We need to know, did our network benefit from this? And then finally, how well Kollective worked for them. So instead of just showing a pretty picture, which I think this picture is fairly pretty, I'm actually going to just jump into this exact dashboard here. Okay, so can everybody see my screen here?
Yes, Garrett.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so this was actually a business unit strategy planning meeting. This was during COVID-19 when this organization locked down and everybody was working from home. And even then, even though everybody's working from their home offices, you can see that we still had bandwidth savings of 40%. So that's significant. We can talk about that here in just a moment. But let's run through these sort of high-level metrics from a Teams live event that occurred just a little while ago, and walk through what are the high-level KPIs that let us know how that event went and what we can do to sort of discover more about that when we need to. So the first thing that I want to pay attention to is right here in the top left corner of the analytics dashboard. So this has what's called a QoE score, or quality of experience. And really what this is doing is this is looking at everybody that joined your event with their Teams client or even Teams on the web from any device or laptop, tablet, etc. We're going to look at what their experience was in receiving that content. So this score is combined of two distinct metrics. The first is the bit rate, or the quality of the video that was delivered to them. So this means that if they set that they wanted it to be a 720p video, that's the bar that we're using. If they wanted it to be 480, that's the bar that we're using. So did they receive the bit rate without sort of the packet loss and the graininess that we're sometimes used to? So they got a high quality video, and then we look at the time to first frame, so how long they waited for the video to arrive, and then any buffering events or jitter events that they have throughout the broadcast. So that's the standard that we want to be evaluated on, is was the quality of experience that the end user had overall good. So so this went off, even though this was, you can see in the map below, this was a massive event that was truly global. It was for the Southeast Asia business unit for this company. So you can see we've got views in China, a heavy concentration there in Japan. We've got some viewers here in India, just one there. But then we have these large clusters, 309, 152. So we can see that this was a very distributed group, but we were still able to give everybody a really great experience. And so that's a key factor in looking at how we're doing here. The second thing is when we're looking at measuring the effectiveness of our broadcast, we want to be able to see, did people stay on for the duration, or did they tune in for 5 minutes and drop? And that gives us a couple indicators of, was the content high quality? Was the quality of video good? Was the connection good? There's a lot of things that can go into this, but really at the highest level, we're just trying to see whether or not the content was consumed as we wanted it to be. So this event, this live event, was an hour long, and you can see that the average user tuned in for 61 minutes. Hey, we're in good shape here. That's fantastic. So this business unit is around 1,800 people, and you can see that they have a reach score of 1,638. So when we do live events, in the comms department, they're usually pretty excited, around 30% attendance. So this is actually stellar. Now, we do know that this happened to be a very specific broadcast around COVID-19 and kind of the adjustments and the strategy that this company was using in Southeast Asia around that. So the attendance was going to be high, but this is a great way of just understanding how high that attendance was, and if you have the audience that you wanted for the broadcast. So at 1,638, we've got, that's how many unique viewers were there. We don't double count. So if somebody tuned in from 2 different devices, or they closed it and came back on, that's not going to count for 2. That is a single user. So that's just another great KPI to know how an event went. So now let's talk about the nitty-gritty when it comes to why you need a solution like Kollective to distribute it at the edge. and we're going to talk about bandwidth savings here. So bandwidth savings is really, and we're, not to toot our own horn here too much, but we were thrilled that even during a work from home environment, we still were able to save this company 40% of the bandwidth that people were using through the external egress points of the network, even when working from home. So that's a phenomenal savings for the network. And the network savings basically means a lot of times it's very much connected to the quality of experience score over here. Because if you're able to distribute that high quality video across the globe at the same time with everybody watching that same broadcast, usually if you're able to offload that traffic from your network and get high quality streams going out to everybody, that usually results in that good QoE score. And then finally, this is a measure of how well Kollective did for you. So again, we're excited that even in a work from home scenario where we have a peering efficiency of 55%. And so basically that means that for these high concentration regions, like here in Tokyo, with 309 attendees from this external egress point in the network, we're able to share that content at the edge, which means that people aren't going all the way backhauling across the continent to your servers to pull that content down, but they're getting that live event from the person just a few doors down or a few streets down from them, and that's being shared at the very edge of the network between peers. So this is how you know that Kollective's doing the heavy lifting for you. And then finally, I just want to walk through the Geo Explorer here really quick. This shows you where your content was consumed. You can see really quickly that this was a very global event. We've got users in EMEA, the United States, in the Northwest and Central US East Coast, and then all over the globe. So what this allows you to do is really quickly see, did we have the experience that we wanted? Did people watch for the time duration that shows us that we effectively communicated with them? Did we reach the number of people that we wanted? Did we save our network in all of this? And did Kollective do the heavy lifting that we wanted? And can we really quickly, at just a moment's glance, see where the content was consumed and by who? Now, Kollective IQ, which is our analytics platform, allows you to drill into any of these. So we can drill into that one user right there in China and see anything, the details of that, and really kind of get into the nitty gritty behind any of these analytics. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now because those were some really quick high-level metrics that let us know, just like Raf showed, that we've got some amazing tools inside of Microsoft Teams to do an event. We also have really easy data on the Kollective side to show how that event went. So I'm going to talk really quickly about Kollective's data platform called Kollective IQ. And we'll go into that really quick with a few quick bullet points. We won't belabor these too long. So our data platform is something that we pride ourselves on in how much work it can do for you, so that it doesn't, you don't have to, again, go through CSVs and import and export data in all these other systems just to find out how things went and what your success factors were. So the first things first is we have our platform is built around the workflows that you have, whether you're a comms person, whether you're an events person, or whether you're a network person. We have built dashboards around your workflow. So we want to provide a stellar UX so you don't have to go hunting and pecking for these success criteria. Second, we want to be able to give you all of the data. So that's a unique part of our platform, in that everything that I showed you today, you can get to the underlying data simply by clicking through any of the visualizations, any of the data tables there. We let you explore all of that data. You can do your own data mining. You can even create custom calculations. So if I walked you through a default dashboard, and if you want to have a custom dashboard, well, that's my next bullet point here, which is our platform, like some of the other, sort of best of breed data mining and data exploration platforms out there, and business intelligence platforms, we actually let you create with any of the data that these systems are producing, let you create custom visualizations and dashboards as well and save those. So even though I showed you what we think are some terrific metrics that are great default dashboards, you can actually have your own KPIs and create those. Now, after you do that, if you want to give your data that recency and relevance, which breeds meaning, we make that really easy for you as well, which with a single button, you can actually click to schedule notifications to come out from the data platform. So if there's a threshold, say for the quality of experience score, that when you fall below that for an event, you want a notification to an email or even to something like a webhook if you want to connect that to maybe we use the webhooks actually to connect data into Teams channels actually. So we use Microsoft Teams to surface actually some really high level notifications when something's going on that we need to be aware of. So we use a webhook out of data, our platform, and then bring it right into Microsoft Teams so that we can talk about it and discuss it immediately, which gives us that data meaning there. So we've made all of this super easy, super simple at the drop of a hat with a great UX. So if any of this has seemed interesting to you today, you can actually use Teams and Kollective and actually just take it out for a test drive today. So if you go to kollective.com/request a trial, here that you see on screen, you'll be able to actually do a live Teams broadcast and integrate with Kollective in a matter of minutes. So we call it, 6 clicks to success, or really it'll take you 5 minutes to set up Kollective for Microsoft Teams. And we have a really easy way of doing that so that you can test it out today. And all of the analytics I just walked you through will be available for you in your Teams live event for 30 days free with no charge for you to see if this is a good solution for you to start using these amazing communications tools that Microsoft has provided today. So thank you so much. We certainly enjoyed being able to share with you. Raphael, thank you so much for joining today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask us anything. Our emails are right there, Gladden@kollective.com and rbarini@microsoft.com. And if you want to get started or have anything else that you want to dive into, we're happy to do that. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful day.